So guys, what if Naruto and Rias were siblings movie? Rias was beaming as the rest of her peerage gathered around in the occult research headquarters. The others, including the newest member Asia, was looking at her. Bucko? You seem really happy today. Rias nodded. I gotten the best news ever. My twin has come home from a long training trip and will be attending school here. Issei's eyes glazed over and started to drool a little as he imagined two Rias, both naked and rubbing their equally hot bodies against each other. His train of thought was broken, no shattered as Rias went on. I have not seen Naruto in a long time. I wonder how his peerage is going. Issei stiffened at the fact the twin was a boy, which shattered his perverted daydream. He fell to his knees crying at the idea of two sexy Rias naked before him, now gone from his grasp. Kaneko glanced at her from her spot on the couch and noticed his look. Perverted senpai, she muttered, which jerked Issei like a stab wound. Asia would have been concerned if she was distracted by her own excitement. Oh, you have a twin. I never had any sibling before. What's he like? Rias smiled. Naruto's a bit different than myself. He is a bit rebellious but a caring person to those important to him. He is a bit overprotective of me, even more than our older brother, and he's always been training in some way. He managed to make a spell that allowed him to travel dimension and he has been training ever since. So when will he be here? Kiba asked with a smile. Interesting in this Naruto. As if on K, the door was kicked open and a shout was heard, where my cute and innocent little sister? They group turned to see a tall boy standing there with his arms spread wide open. He had red hair, a shade darker than Rias, but also had yellow highlight-like streaks in his hair. While he wore the school uniform, they can tell he was powerful. Rias pouted with her cheeks puffed out, causing Issei to go weak knee seeing how cute she looked. Naruto, why must you call me that? Naruto grinned and held up a single finger. Because I was born first, therefore you are my little sister. By 3 minutes. Rias argued, and the peerage member had the feeling this argument has been done many times before. Naruto did not drop his grin 1 minute or 1 hour, it doesn't matter. Winning's winning. Rias sighed before she smiled and quickly got up before she wrapped the boy into a hug. It's so good to see you again. Naruto chuckled. Yeah, I would have been here sooner sis, but I had to help get some of my older peerage member their positions in the academy. Positions? Akeno repeated with a tilt of her head. Naruto looked sheepish as he rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, you see, some of my peerage members are a bit older and can't pass for students, so they get to be teachers. So they are staying here? Rias asked. Naruto smiled. Well, not all of them are staying with me as they still have duties or families at home, but are ready if I call them. They are all here now so I can introduce them. Come on in, girls. The group watched as the new group entered the room. Issei went wide-eyed before he bowed to Naruto. I am not worthy. You are a true harem master. What's with him? Naruto asked as 15 different women came in and were already surprised to see other people. He's a pervert, Kaneko said as the first of the older women in the group snorted a bit. Reminds me of a chibi Jiraiya if he's aiming for a harem, the blonde-haired honey-eyed woman with bountiful breasts said as she looked at the group. This is quite a peerage, Kiba said as he looked at everyone. Some of the girls, actually most of them, were around their age and had different skin tones in some cases, and one was noted for seemingly being blind. Era, it is nice to meet the peerage of Naruto Gremory. But perhaps you should introduce yourselves, Akeno suggested, knowing that the peerage, despite being all women, had many strong-feeling people. Among them were the two blondes, the busty honey-eyed one and a dark-skinned and equally busty blonde that kept her face covered from the mouth down but kept the bottom half of her breast showing just below the nipple, which caused Issei to drool over. Then there was the fair-skinned girl in red, who occasionally glared at a brown-haired brown-skinned girl in blue furs, in addition to another red-headed busty woman with blue eyes. In fact, many of the male Gremory's peerage were more than what they seemed. One that stuck out as the one woman with glasses wearing a white nun's uniform. Asia was staring at her in awe at a nun like herself becoming a devil. That seems fair enough. Why don't you go first? Asked a pink-haired girl with green eyes. Yes please, we are most delighted to meet you. Everyone was a little surprised at seeing a girl with not only green eyes, but a lighter green sclera instead of white simply floating in the air, but with orange skin. Rias nodded as she held her hand out to her peerage. As you already know, I am Rias Gremory, Naruto twin sister. Here she made the word twin more pronounced for her bother, but he didn't seem to notice. This is my queen, Akeno Himejima. Akeno bowed as she eyed some of the other peerage, causing some to look uneasy. The one in a dark cloak and upper part of her face hidden in shadow felt something was off about this one. She sensed something about pain or causing it. Rias went on. This is my loyal knight Kiba Yuto. Kiba bowed to them. Nice to meet you. Two of Naruto's peerage bowed. a red-hair girl dressed in armor of all things and the second older blonde. This is my rook Kaneko Tujo. The smaller girl gave a slight bow as she eyed them. The others smiled and two had to hold themselves back from running over and hugging the girl. One normal but good-looking busty red-hair girl was squealing, "Kitty," inside her head. This is my recently acquired Bishop Asia Argento. The nun-turned-devil bowed here. A pleasure to meet you all. She was bowed in return as many members felt this girl was very nice and innocent. Rias then motioned to the still bowing and drooling Issei, and this is my loyal pawn Issei Hyodo. Issei was about to speak before he found a boot kicked into his face. One of the other girls, one with mixed-match eye and a strange white horn accessory on her head, "Keep your perverted eyes off of Haribel-sama." Another girl next to her, which reminded them of an Amazon for some reason, then said as she glared down at the boy, "Yeah, no one but our king can look at her like that. Epically not an unworthy pawn like you." The last one, this had long dark hair and kept one long sleeve hand covering her mouth, said, "Yes. To think someone like you are the same rank as these fool hitting you. It seems they can only handle someone of equal rank anyways." Both girls turned to the last girl with a glare. "What you say, Sung-sun?" they shouted. "Girls, enough." The blonde hair woman they were defending ordered, which caused them to cease. "We are guest here." The red hair knight nodded and stepped forward and bowed to Rias and her peerage. "Forgive my fellow peerage, please hit me for this embarrassment." Akeno giggled and was about to come forward when Naruto lightly bopped her on the head. "We really need to work on this habit, Urza." The girl blushed and returned to her place. Naruto smiled at them. "Now that is out of the way, let me introduce us. I am Naruto Gremory, Rias' older twin brother. Rias Pouts here, and this is my peerage, my queen Tsunade Senju." He pointed to the first blonde woman who spoke first, "and she will be one of the school's new nurse." The others blinked at the fact his queen was a healer. Asia was open-mouthed in excitement at someone powerful was also a healer. Naruto then said, "These are my knights, Tyr Haribel and Urza Scarlet." He pointed to the other yellow busty woman from before and the red hair armor knight. Both bowed at the group. "Tyr will be a P.E. teacher." Here he pointed to the orange skin girl in the pink hair one. "These are my rooks, Starfire and Sakura Haruno." Starfire grinned broadly. "Greetings, fellow peerage members. I hope we can get along, for I am stronger than I look." Naruto chuckled. "Yeah, Starfire was very strong and durable even before I made her my rook. With the added boosts she is a force to be reckoned with. Now my bishops, Raven and Orihime Inoue." The cloak-wearing girl nodded while the orange hair girl waved happily. "And these are my pawn Katara," points to the brown skin girl in blue. Azula points to the glaring girl in red. Lucy Heartfilia points to the almost normal-looking busty blonde with a set of keys on her hip and a pink mark on her left hand. Sung-sun, Mila Rose, and Apache, Tyr's three students, point to the three that hit and insulted Issei. Bayonetta points to the adult nun who smiled at them, which seem out of place on a nun, and finally Hinata Hyuga points to the blind-looking girl who was taping her index finger together nervously. Naruto grinned. Now the only ones what will not be new students are Starfire, Raven, Urza and Lucy, while Bayonetta will stay in her world. "Why?" Asia asked innocently, slightly saddened at the nun not really staying. "Because they either have family or a different duty at home," Naruto replied. "The rest either wished to stay or have nowhere else to go back in their home, plus Bayonetta would not really fit in around here." That was something that got them thinking. What could have them possibly leaving whatever universe they lived in to stay? Then there was also what were these other universes like? Also the fact Naruto had a nun with him, which Rias thought was strange. Even though Asia was a nun, she was kicked out of the church before she became a devil, so it was a slightly different matter. "Anyo, you said you were a healer, right?" Asia asked Tsunade as she nodded. "Yeah. I studied medicine in my world," Tsunade said as she was happy that there was someone interested in the healing arts besides Sakura and Hinata. "She's actually the best-known healer in my world," Sakura said as she got their attention and continued. "She's known as the Slug Queen because she can summon ninja slugs, and is said to be able to heal any poison or injury." "That does sound interesting," Akeno said. Knowing healers were important in any society. Sure, there are those that think healers were pointless, but those that thought medicine was a dead art often died quickly from toughing it out. "Well, I guess we should mingle and get used to the school, and you don't mind if I stop by the club every now and then, right, Rias?" Naruto asked, and Rias was more than willing to do so. "Of course, after all, you still have your duties as a devil of the Gremory house, and your duties as a brother." Naruto chuckled. "Don't sorry sis, I promise." Urza however came forward. "My apologies my king, but Lucy and I have to head back to the guild." Lucy nodded. "Sorry, but we have requests to do back home. I still have a rent coming up." Rias blinked. Didn't Naruto provide for her? Even if she is not staying with him, she figured Naruto would help his peerage members. Naruto nodded. Alright, you guys can head home. Give everyone my regards. Both girls nodded before a summon seal appeared under them and they sank into them before they were gone. Raven glanced at Starfire and the girl understood even if she was not too happy about it. I am afraid we must go as well. Our friends will be wondering where we are. Naruto smiled. Well then, I will see you two later. Good luck with your missions. Raven smirked slightly. They're not really missions, Naruto. Starfire nodded as two seals appeared below them. Yes, it is more us stopping the villains from destroying the city. Bayonetta got a grin on her face. I think I shall stay for a while before I return. I am sure Jean can handle things by herself for a while. As they vanished, Naruto noticed Rias and her peerage was looking at them. Naruto explained. Urza and Lucy are mages in a guild called Fairy Tail and do missions for fame, rewards and money. They also ask this as their request as devils as well. Starfire and Raven are part of a team that defends a city from all sort of baddies. It is rare that they do request, however. Rias nodded as she remembered her brother Peerage was from different worlds and Naruto may not be able to help as he wanted to. Naruto turned to his Peerage. Well, let's take a look around the school then. Tear and her students nodded before a seal appeared below them. They were covered in a bright light and when it cleared they looked different. Mostly it was their clothes which were now school uniforms except for Tear, which was a tracksuit and a scarf around her neck. What Rias and her peerage noticed was that the horn and white ornaments on Sung's sons, Mila Rose's, and Apache's heads were missing. Naruto smiled but did not say anything as he did not want to spoil the surprise for his sister and her servants. Bayonetta kept her nun outfit on, still enjoying the looks the other peerage members were giving her. They are going to be fun to play with. Issei shot forward with a large smile on his face. Since you are all new here, allow me to show everyone around. As he had both eyes closed, he did not notice Sakura holding a fist up before she hit him right in the kisser. No way, perv. Issei was sent flying where he embedded into the wall. OWWW, he moaned softly. Era. Perhaps Rias-sama should show them around. Being the occult club head and Naruto-sama's sister, Akeno suggested, and it was a good idea. I think that is acceptable, Hinata stuttered out. And was thankful that she was given a school uniform. Even if she thought it was a little too revealing for her taste. She never showed so much skin, nor had worn anything that really advertised her figure that much. Tsunade was thankful for the lab coat and nursing outfit. She may have to at least check to see what medicines were in stock. The girls that were staying were pleasantly pleased, but made sure to not let Issei be pleased with their appearance. This was mainly because of the fact that they only had eyes for their king, as each one was saved in a manner and they weren't interested in fooling around with anyone but Naruto. Rias sighed as Asia went to heal Issei after he was pulled from the wall. Tsunade and the other healers of the group watched as her hands glowed as she healed him. Tsunade stepped up for a closer look as she focused on her work. When she was done, Asia noticed Tsunade was looking over her shoulder. That is an incredible ability, Tsunade said to the blushing former nun. Reminds me of our healing jutsu, but you seem to use it with ease. Asia smiled as she explained her healing ability. Naruto smiled at his sister. I take it that is a sacred gear. She nodded. Very useful. When she's older, I dare say she will give my girls a run for their money in terms of healing. Rias raised a brow. You mean you have someone other than your queen who can heal? Naruto smirked. I have 6 in fact. Tsunade is the strongest in both strength and healing, although Tear can match her in battle and Urza in no slouch, nor are any of my girls. But Tsunade trained Sakura and Hinata in the art of healing and taught Sakura her super strength moves. Katara can heal as long as she has water to work with, and Raven can heal a bit with her magic, and Orihime has her own special way of healing. What's is it? She can use her power in 3 different ways even before she became my bishop. First is a shield to block attacks. The second is a way to heal. It can even regrow a limb even if the limb itself has been cut off and turned to dust. One would say she is reversing time around the area she is healing, but the best way to describe it is, well, she rejects the wounds. Reject it? Naruto nodded. She wills the wound to be gone and rejects it so it never happen. There is no better way to describe it. And the last way she can use her power? It is an attacking move that pierces the opponent and splits them apart, but all her moves are powered by her will. Her willingness to stop the attack from hurting her friends, her willingness to heal her friends, and her willingness to stop the attacker. She came a long way and she has gotten better. Naruto and her peerage followed Rias out of the clubhouse, Tsunade promising Asia that they would talk more, and Rias lead the way still talking to her brother. So you found all your peerage in different worlds? Naruto nodded. Yeah, I first trained in the world where Tsunade, Sakura and Hinata are from. I spent the most of the time there, but even then I travels to also train. I went to Bayonetta's world and helped her out finding out her past and hunting a few. Well, I'll explain more of them later. They are not like anything you've seen before, nor would you want to fight them. I meet Urza when training in her world and became an ally to her guild. I met Lucy a few years later and then they both joined my peerage after some events I rather not get into right now. As for Katara and Azula were both members of different nations that were in the end of a war that spread throughout the whole world and lasted for 100 years, they both joined for different reason and while they fight they can work together at time. He smiled at his sister here, not noticing the glare said girls were sending at each other. Tsunade shook her head. The only reason they joined was to be with you. Then there is Starfire and Raven. Both came from a world with powerful natives and I got into a few good fights. Both joined after they got to know me and I helped with a certain problem. Then there is Tyr and her group. I meet them after helping to rescue Orihime from their master. Even if we fought we got along and did not hate each other. In the end their master betrayed and killed them due to either his blade or his action. I helped kill the bastard and he was one of the strongest fighters I ever face and a cheap ability even if he could not use it on me in Ichigo. And don't get me started on the healing factor and other power-ups he had. Anyway, I brought them back cause I did not want them to die like that and it has been history ever since. Afterwards Orihime asked to join me. Tyr nodded as this was true. Even if they were enemies when they first meet he was kind to them. After defeating Azean and bringing they back from the dead and making them the world's first Arrancar devil hybrid. The process rid them of their once hollow holes and made them whole for lack of better words. They still got their masks and abilities on top of their devil one even if they were able to hide their masks. Tyr kept hers most of the time cause Naruto once told her he found it sexy but at least got rid the mouth part of it whenever they made out and went farther. Tyr placed a hand over the top of her womb where her hollow hole once was. She knew what she felt for Naruto and even if she was not part of his peerage she would still follow him. She hoped he would allow her to carry his child when he wished for one now that she was able to. Rias watched Naruto as he explained this and knew he was not joking. How strong are you, Naruto? Rias then showed the group around the school, and the new students and teachers got a lot of attention from the students. The few boys of Kuo Academy were paying attention to the number of new hotties that came in, and the girls were admiring the male Gremory as he walked with his sister. Who are they? He's hot. Dude, those girls are smoking, and did you see that nurse? Were some of the comments as they toured the school to get familiar with it? Said Naruto. What are your plans while here? Rias asked her brother. Naruto thought for a bit, but he didn't have a clear reason. Well, probably just relax and get to know my sister's peerage better and see if they can handle other problems. I also want to make sure that you have a guy that can protect you, Naruto said as Rias blushed at the last part of the comment. It wasn't like she couldn't find a good man for herself, and he was already swarmed with girls. This reminder that, even though the girls are his peerage, that her brother essentially had built a large harem. If he succeeded their father, then she would certainly not fear the Gremory name dying out. She blinked as she remembered the position she was in. One reason she was to be married to Riser was not only to unite the two families but also because Naruto would be able to lead their family without them losing any power. She knew Naruto did not act like a normal heir to one of the 72 pillars added to his value. He trained to not only increase his skill but increase his move pool in terms of power. He was not like Riser in the way he acts alone with what position they were. Naruto did not act like his name or family will keep him safe from anything. He acted like he did as if was not the heir but a normal less valued positioned in the family. The fact he acts so different from everyone else and more importantly, he sees other not by their family or race but by their personality and personal behavior. She wondered what she would do if Naruto knew of her to be marriage. She held back a snort. The first thing Naruto would do was insult Riser and then, and hopefully in her mind, hit him. She knew her brother was overprotective and when they were younger this annoyed her to no end. He was almost as bad as their elder brother at times. Speaking of their brother, have you seen the rest of our family yet? Rias asked Naruto. Naruto snorted. Yeah, I seen Mom and Dad. Mom was all in tears when she saw me despite all the letters I sent her and Dad was talking about how proud I made him. He also said something about finally becoming a man. Whatever he meant by that cause I tuned him out like I usually do. Rias gave him a deadpan look which Naruto did not see. She knew her father was talking about Naruto having his own peerage of strong and hot women and from the sound of it he has slept with some of them. Now she would tease and ask about that but seeing as this was her own twin brother she felt like it would be too weird to go into. Behind them Naruto peerage were either smiling or smirking behind their hands or in Tyr's case scarf. They all had been there to see Naruto's parents and they were approved of. His mother had spoken to each of them and found that they all have fallen for him one way or another and most was because of his actions and not his position or power. Despite some being older women and looked around the mother's age, she approved of them and told them she expected grandchildren whenever they were ready. Some were blushing at this, and while most stated they would wait, some like Tyr, Tsunade and Azula had no problem getting pregnant right now. Rias, having no idea what the rest were thinking of, asked, "So you still plan on beating our brother and taking his position?" Naruto grinned and pumped his fist. "Hell yeah, I am. I may not be there yet, but I can still give that nut job a workout. A few more years and I will be the one to take his place by kicking his ass." Rias giggled both at his speech and the fact he insult the most powerful devil like it was nothing. "Well then, you have your work cut out for you, but since you are here, perhaps you can do me one little favor," Rias said with an almost lustful tone. Naruto shook his head, knowing that she got it from their mother, as he had heard Venelana Grimori ne Bale use it on their father before coercing him into something, but what he didn't know other than that they often had a weird scent and were exceptionally happy. "So, what is this favor, Emoto-chan? Simply put, I want you to help train my peerage for the future of the rating games. While they are strong, they still need training. In addition, two are only just recently reincarnated, and Issei needs the training the most, since he can barely access his magical powers." Naruto raised a brow. How bad can he be? He is unable to teleport, Rias admitted. Naruto paused, as did the other peerage members. He blinked, trying to wrap around this bit of information. He can't. But even a toddler has enough magic to be able to teleport. You might need a few more pawns to even things out. How many do you have left? Rias frowned. None. Issei needed all 8 of my pawns to reincarnate into a devil after he died. This threw Naruto through a loop. Naruto's pawns looked at each other. They only needed 1. Even the 3 that died only needed 1 piece. So why did he need so many if he had all but 0 magical abilities? Naruto finally asked. "Okay, this goes without saying, but why?" "He has the boosted gear," Rias explained. "Ah," Naruto said, thinking while his peerage looked confused. Naruto noticed and explained. "The boosted gear is a sacred gear that is considered to be one of the deadliest. It lets Issei or any other user to double in power every 10 seconds. Now for Issei right now it means he has a long way before he can be a major threat, but say an average devil or even one of us, it can have the power to kill a god." The others were stunned. "Wow," Katara muttered. Azula narrowed her eyes. "So he has the power to kill gods?" "Not yet," Naruto added. "Like I said, it double your power every 10 seconds. Say his power level is 1 and yours, Azula, is 10, first 10 seconds in the fight. His power is now 2, another 10 and it is 4, 4 becomes 8 and then 8 becomes 16. All in 40 seconds he would have power to beat you. Now that is just an example, but he can even outmatch any of you given time. But 10 seconds may be a short amount normally, but in battle you don't get that much easily. Even we would be attacking and fighting him. If he is taken out before he can boost his power enough, he can still lose. Also, the boost does not mean it is game over. Other factors are to be considered. Skill, experience, fatigue." He paused here, but that is only at his level right now and only in battle. If he can increase his base power before that, then it will take less time to beat anyone. Not to mention, if Issei's body is unable to handle the strain of so many boosts, then it will damage his body. Rias grinned. "So you shall help train him?" "Hell no," Naruto deadpanned to her disbelief. "The little pervert wouldn't last an hour under my light training. But I guess my peerage can train with yours. It would do them some good to face someone new, and your peerage can gain some skill." Rias sighed but smiled. She was thankful that her brother was really back, and if she can manage it, get her out of this horrible situation. Issei groaned as he landed on his back again. In front of him was Apache, who was scowling. Naruto was standing on the sidelines next to his sister and rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Okay, enough," he ordered, and Apache walked out of the ring near her fellow peerage members. He walked over and looked down at Issei. "Got anything to say for yourself?" "OWWW, Issei moaned. Naruto sighed. "Man, you really scraped the bottom of the barrel with this kid, sis." Issei glared at him. "Hey. I am trying here." "Good," Naruto exclaimed. "If all of this was you half-assing, then I would have kicked your ass so hard. Your skull would be my new boot. But we tried a lot of different training methods today and I am seeing not much of anything." Issei pouts but agreed with him. When he heard he was going to get training, he thought Rias would be training him and he might be able to see her in bloomers. But instead Naruto and a few of his peerage was training him. Naruto first had Issei race with some of his nun-knight pieces. He did not do very good but got to enjoy some of the girls bouncing breast as they ran. That also earned him a kick to the face by some of them, and a few more in the ribs when he was down on the ground. After recovering that and Naruto dressing him down, he then had to show how strong his hits were. Naruto had his bishop, a nice large chest girl named Orihime, as Issei recalled. And she had a large triangular shield made of an orange light, At first he has to hit it with his bare hands, which only caused him pain. Then he was allowed to use his sacred gear once and no promotions and hit the shield once. He did and he did not even leave a scratch. Naruto unknowingly rubbed salt in his wounded pride when he asked his bishop if she made the shield powerful and she replied that it was one of the weakest she ever made. Then he was tested on his ability to dodge. He was forced to avoid whips of water made by his pawn Katara. He avoided the first few after the getting over the shock of the water moving on its own. Then he was hit again and again and again, and while the water whips did not cause any damage really, they did sting, a lot. Now Naruto had his spar with another member of his peerage and Apache was the first to step up. She took great pleasure in hurting the little perv. Issei looked up at Naruto. Why are we going through this? Naruto sighed again. You are the pawn of my little sister. That means you are part of the group that protects her. If you are weak then you cannot help her. Your sacred gear and your determination seems to be your only saving grace. That and you can take a beating at least, so that is helpful. You sacred gear doubles your power every 10 seconds. That means if we increase your base states then when you boost you get a higher level faster. But if I can get a higher level every time then why do I have to go through this? Naruto flicked Issei's forehead. Knocking the boy to the ground 10 seconds means nothing on the battlefield. If an opponent knew the trouble you would be then they would not give you the boost needed. The weaker you are the longer it takes to boost to a level where you can fight evenly or higher than them. The less times you need to boost means the faster you can overpower them. Issei actually thought about it for a bit, and it made sense, in a manner. If he was stronger normally, then he would be stronger boosted. Yeah, and there's also the fact that if you can't do anything, you can't be expected to survive. The enemy isn't likely to show any mercy, so you should show none, Apache said, seemingly enjoying the taunts and the guy getting scared from it. You now Apache-chan, you should nt be so mean to him. He might not have to fight in war conditions yet, and hopefully never will outside of the raiding games. Now, well, keep working on your physical constitution as well as your magical abilities, but don't try anything perverted with your magic tutor Raven-chan, because if you think the ones you worked with are bad, she has quite a temper. Scene break. Issei was tired, and felt really bad that he couldn't do anything simple, especially against the girls of Naruto's peerage. They were all amazing in some way, shape, or form without being born devils. Issei. Are you alright? Asia asked, worried about the boy that was her first real friend, as he was bruised all over and in pain. Everything hurts, he moaned, causing Asia to help him onto the couch and start to heal him. Naruto rolled his eyes. Stop being a baby, the pain tells you that you are still alive. Rias looked at her pawn before turning to her brother. You didn't go overboard, did you? She asked, knowing Naruto had a strange sense of what was enough. Naruto scoffed. Please, I just went to see what his limit was. I rather see for myself what he can or cannot handle. He has a few good points, but the main thing here is he can take punishment, which means he can handle more training. Issei, who was getting healed, sat up wide-eyed. More. Then what was all of that we just did? Naruto rolled his eyes. That was to see how weak you are, and let me tell you, you left a mark there. You got to be in my top 10 in weakest guys I have ever seen. But you are determined, dedicated, and aiming for a dream without backing down. That brings you up a notch in my book. Here Issei looked proud before he deflated when Naruto finished. That puts you at notch 1. Samin, Issei moaned. Rias sighed. Well, can you do anything? Naruto nodded before he pulled out something from his bag. It was several wrist and ankle bands with several symbols on them that Rias and the others did not recognize. Put these on Issei, Naruto orders, tossing them to him. Issei looked at them confused before he complied and put them on. Once one, Naruto formed a single hand sign. The writing on the bands glowed before Issei face planted to the wooden floor. What the hell? He cried as he struggled to move. It felt as if his arms and legs were weighted down. Weight seals. Naruto explained a little trick I learned during my training. When I send out Charka, I can increase the weight of the bands to however I wish. Right now they are simply 20 pounds on each limbs. 20 pounds. Issei tried as he managed to push himself up to look at Naruto. Naruto looked annoyed before he formed the hand signs again. Issei had no time to brace himself before he faced planted again. There, 35 pounds. Enjoy learning how to walk again. Issei moaned while the others sweated dropped. Naruto rolled his eyes. Relax, you big baby. I started it off easy. With those one you will get stronger and faster much more quickly. Plus when you do take them off you will be surprised with the speed you can have. Rias looked at her twin. How long does he have to wear them? All the time. Naruto said to Issei's horror. The only time he can take them off is when he bathes, in a life or death battle or possible a raiding games when you guys can do them. Issei lifted his head up at him. That's insane, I can't do that. Naruto made a seal and added 5 more pounds, to which Issei wisely shuts up. Naruto felt someone tugging his sleeve and saw it was Kaneko. She pointed to Issei and asked, "Teach me." Naruto chuckled, seeing as she wants to add weights to his heavy load whenever he was being a pervert. "Maybe later, I don't know if you can use charka like I can." Kaneko pouted cutely, nearly causing Naruto to break, but he held strong. "Well, I better check up on my peerage and see how they're holding up," Naruto said as he started to leave the room, and Issei was glad that the trainer from hell was leaving. It could mean that he could relax for a bit. "Oh, before I go, Issei should start on some basic training such as push-ups, and I recommend he get started now," Naruto added, adding more to Issei's burden. Scene break. It had been a while since Naruto had been in a proper school. But that didn't mean he was that fond of it, while learning things were important. It didn't mean that he was going to get anything just by having information. He would first look in on Tsunade. She was the oldest of the peerage, the most experienced, and definitely the leader when he wasn't around. The queen taken the nurse position like fish to water, and already students liked her. Most of the girls, while wondering how she got a large-sized chest, respected her for being a decent doctor in the gently but no pushover way when it came to helping students. The guys, however, were all focused on her figure than anything else. He then heard the sound of giggling, not any kind of giggling but a perverted giggling. He heard the giggle way too many times to not recognize it. He looked around and noticed two boys kneeling below a window peeking inside. One was fair skin and a shaven head, overall not a good looking. Not that it mattered to him, guy. The other had messy brown hair and glasses that glinted in the light. Both were giggling while shaking slightly, Naruto looking inside the window to see what they were perverting about. Tsunade was inside wearing her normal nurse uniform with lab jacket as she was helping one of her female students. The girl had her shirt off while Tsunade was rubbing something onto her back with her eyes close and all relaxed. Naruto knew Tsunade was adding her charka to whatever she was doing. Beside the one girl was almost topless. The boys were giggling at the fact at this angle and bending over slightly. Tsunade was showing a lot of cleavage. Thinking the two seen enough, Naruto walked behind them, grabbed their heads and slammed them together. This knocked the two perverts out cold and alerting the girls inside the room. The one student blushed and tried to cover herself while Tsunade looked up with a raised brow. Naruto grinned sheepishly and held the two perverts. "Don't worry here, I just got to teach these two a lesson." Naruto dragged the two away, not noticing the girl was blushing at the hot guy, in hers and Tsunade's opinion, seeing her like this. Scene break. Naruto brought the two boys away from the main ground as he looked at the two.
"Alright, now could you explain to me why you two would peek on a private examination that is confidential between a doctor and her patient?" Naruto asked, not letting the two get away from anything that was coming to them. The two were shaking as the red-haired boy with blonde highlights was glaring at them with his blue eyes in a sadistic amusement. The boys tried to get away, but Naruto kept them grounded. "You didn't answer the question, and for that you're getting more punishment."
"I think we're screwed," said one of them, and the other had a no-duh expression on his face. Scene break. Naruto was walking into the clubroom with a semi-satisfied look on his face. And while he did appreciate the female form, he stopped going out of his way to peek. After all, there were better ways to appreciate women, and he knew strong women, which included his mother and many of his peerage. The fact that several of those women would pound him into paste if he ever got caught peeking. Not that he needed to anyways, as his girls were more than happy enough to stripe for him before they made love. He entered the clubroom where his sister was to find her peerage along with some of his own. "Naruto, do you know where that screaming before came from?" Rias asked, seeing her brother. Issei shivered, as did Akano, although for a different reason. "I felt a great shift in the way of the pervert." Like many perverted thought were silence in an instance. Naruto and many others gave him deadpan looks. You know what? I am not even going to respond to that. The girly screams anyways were the two perverts crying when I punished them for peeking on Tsunade and one of her patient. Well, Mr. Baldy and Mr. Pervy Glasses will hopefully learn their lesson and not be perverts anytime soon. The others looked at him while Issei was thinking of what Naruto said, and Akano had a blush on her face as she imagined what Naruto did to the perverts. Sakura, however, had a small smirk on her face. "You did the 1,000 years of pain on them, didn't ye?" The others stared at her, Rias and her friend confused. Not counting Akano staring with stars in her eyes at the name and what it can behold. Katara blushed, as did Hinata, while Azula smirked. Hinata seen the move been pulled off a few times and she felt sorry for those it was used, while a small part of her wondered what it would feel like if Naruto did that to her. Katara recalled when Naruto used that on both Aang and Sokka when trying to train them, and Azula remembered Naruto using it on her brother when the two fought once. While she was not on his side yet, she still felt like laughing like a maniac when she saw Zuzu go flying. The what? Naruto nodded at Sakura before he answered, it's a taijutsu or hand-to-hand combat move. I learned that wounds a woman's pride when hit, that and it embarrasses them to no end. Issei looked worried before he asked, how bad can it be? Naruto grinned at him. Do you want to find out? Issei shivered at Naruto's scary grin. No, I don't. Akeno however said, yes, I would love to see it in action. Perhaps I can learn it as well? The screams were so pleasurable, to be able to make them cry like that must have been, moan. Naruto and his girls looked at her. Is she? Sakura asked. Rias nodded. Yes, Akeno is a major sadist. The others looked at Akeno, who was in a fantasy before they all thought together unknowingly, Bayonetta is not to be left alone with her. Well, don't we have another one interested in the art of sexy? Bayonetta said as she knew that the two would get along easily. The semi-sadistic witch that would pull a torture spell to kill, and the sadistic Queen of Thunder was not a good combination. Those that do not know her look stunned at a nun was a sadist. Well, we can talk about moves that could be used in S&M later, but so far everyone's been settling in pretty well, right Sakura-chan? Naruto said and asked his rook, and she nodded. Yeah, there's not much here I can't learn, but Hinata might be having some trouble. I am with her in a few classes, and I think the few guys are starting to gravitate to her. That's because she gives off a weak aura, Azula replied to Sakura's statement, but Naruto had a different thought about that. I think it's more because unlike you, she gives off that gentle princess aura, the kind of aura that makes men want to dominate her and yet serve her willingly. Katara smirked slyly at Azula, kinda the opposite of you. Azula snapped her head to Katara, and pray tell, do you mean like that? She asked with gritted teeth. Overall she had a scary look to her. Katara however answered without fear, you can't be nice without faking it even if it could save your life. You scare all your subject when you were princess and they were too scared to do anything. If they had a choice to leave you without retaliation and serving you willingly they would leave running hoping it was not a trick and you changed your mind. They followed orders like they were supposed to do. Azula replied with narrowed eyes, and don't act all innocent with me. I know you had the avatar wrapped around your finger and could make him do anything you want. I did not. Katara cried getting angry. Aang is my friend and I never made him do anything. Please, he was pining for you since the moment he laid eyes on you. From what I understand, you knew this and instead of getting him to stop you let him keep going because you like having someone power to bend over backwards to your every will. It is not like that. Katara shouted looking ready to attack Azula. Aang is my friend and while he may have had a crush on me it was simply that, a crush. When he knew how I felt he was fine with that. Please, he was not. Azula countered. He knew without Naruto he would have a small chance with you. Issei, Kiba and Asia felt heat start to come off of Azula as they backed away. At the same time Katara glared. No one talks about my friends like that. The water pond jumped at Azula and the two started to fight on the floor. The two did not us their bending as this was a battle of their women pride as they pulled, slapped and hit each other. Naruto groaned before he got up and grabbed the two and heaved them over his shoulders. They cried out in shock as the sudden movement before they struggled to get down while sneaking a shot at the other. Okay, you two, that's enough, he said, but the two would not stop. Bayonetta smirked and walked over to her king and leaned over him. It seems the two need to be punished, and I know the perfect way. Naruto sighed but agreed. A magic circle appeared and the four started to vanish. Sorry sis, but I got to deal with this. See you in a few hours. When he vanished, Sakura scoffed. More like 6, if we're lucky. Huh? Rias asked. Sakura sighed. Katara and Azula don't get along much. The only thing they can even agree on is Naruto and the fact he loves them and they love him. Knowing Bayonetta, she will have the two stripped and tied up before she has Naruto fuck her right in front of the two with no way to get relief. They would go for a few hours before they let the toe down and have them join in. Yeah, we will not be seeing them for a while. Everyone was shocked, especially Rias. She hadn't seen Naruto in years, and yet now she learns that he has had sexual experience with women that love him. That was just too shocking. Era, was all that Akeno could sum up, breaking the silence. That lucky guy. I want him to teach me his ways. Issei literally shouted out. Almost the entire school could hear him, and that sent shivers of fear, or possibly anticipation, at several young women in the school. This is something different. I never expected my brother to have a harem. Rias finally spoke, but she knew that she may have to find a partner she could trust and possibly love soon, if only to catch up to her brother. Scene change. The next day Naruto was outside helping train not only Issei today but also the rest of his sister's peerage. He was making Kaneko run to see her speed and endurance. Kiba was swinging a banka with weights on his arms to increase his striking power of his sword under Tear's watch while Asia was with Sakura and Hinata who was seeing her skill in healing. Akeno was out on something for Rias and Issei was once again getting his ass handed to him in the sparring ring. Rias was glancing at Naruto who was watching the spar and noticed that Katara and Azula were nowhere to be found, not wanting to talk about what he gotten into what he did last night nor what he gets into with his now confirmed, at least to her, harem. She decided to see what he brother did on his training trip. I can tell you gotten a lot stronger on your trip. How much stronger did you become? Naruto smiled. I increased my speed and strength. My reflexes have gone up and I think some of my magic as well. I worked on gaining several different abilities and attacks so I don't have to solely rely on my power of destruction. Rias pouts here knowing she used her power of destruction quite often when she fight. Why not use it? She could not help but ask. Because I do not want it to be a clutch, Naruto responded before pointing at Issei who was getting judo flipped and chopped by Orihime. Much to his surprise, if it is our only major attack someone could find a way to keep it from hurting them or away it against us. Look at Issei. If his relies only on boosted gear he will never become strong. I am trying to get him to learn that as well as increase his skills. I gained several new skills to either aid my in battle or aid my peerage. I gained a jutsu known as Shadow Clone and Multi-Shadow Clones which makes copies of myself and I am working on combining my power of destruction with several of my powerful attacks for something even more powerful. This stunned Rias, not only for saying he is making his power of destruction stronger but combining it, she did not think it was possible. I see that you have been getting stronger. Perhaps one day you'll succeed our elder brother, and possibly become a great family head if you decide to stop pursuing being Lucifer, Rias said, but Naruto just smiled. You know I want just stop at being Lucifer, but I'll keep my strength to be known as the strongest devil in history. Naruto said as Issei was once again thrown on the mat by Orihime, getting Naruto to shake his head before saying, just how weak is this guy? Orihime is not even a fighter, and not even a practitioner of jujitsu, she only knows because a friend of hers. Naruto said as Rias had to admit, it didn't quite look like Issei was shaping up as well as she would like, he still had a long way to go before he could become a splendid devil to be proud of. Rias looked at her pawn as he struggled to get up, her thoughts turned to her situation before she turned to her brother. She knew her brother did not know of her engagement as he has yet to mention it or rather make a big deal out of it. She knew Riser will pressure his father soon and she was running out of time. She wanted to ask her brother for help she really did but she could not. She could not have her brother shoulder her burden when she needed to handle it. Her brothers, both of them, cannot protect her forever no matter what they may think. She looked at Issei who had gotten up and listening to Naruto who was trying to teach him an important lesson. Something about making his own special move if she heard it right. She knew Issei has potential it just needs to be brought to the surface. She knew what she had to do tonight, and if she was going to give herself to someone then at least it is someone who cares for her to a certain degree. She kept quiet as Naruto kept the training up but he felt like something was on his sister's mind. Scene change. Naruto led the way to Sisters Club with his peerage following. Azula and Katara recovered from their punishment and quite satisfied too. Naruto was quiet as he had the feeling something was wrong. He pushed open the door. Hey sis, everything okay? He asked blinked seeing Rias and her peerage was not alone. Standing there was a tall fair-skinned silver-hair woman dressed in a maid's uniform with an emotionless look on her face. Naruto knew who this was right away. Auntie, what brings you here? Who's this Naruto? Orihime asked seeing the maid. The others felt she was holding back a lot of power. Tyr had a feel of her power and thought it was par with a high-level Shinigami captain. Naruto looked at his peerage. This is Graphia, my brother's queen and his wife. Graphia bowed to them. Greetings. I am surprised to see you Naruto. This is not a social call for my husband or me. I am afraid. Rias attempted to give her virginity to her pawn last night, however I was stopped them before the deed could be carried out. Naruto blinked before looking from Issei to his sister. Really sis? Even if you love the guy you should at least date him a bit before going that far. Rias gave him a deadpan look seeing as he slept with 3 of his girls not even 48 hours ago. Graphia however said, I am afraid it is more to it than that. You see Rias was attempt to violate her part in her betrothal. They all paused here, Naruto looking like he was sucker punched. Her what? He asked making sure he did not mishear anything. Rias is betrothed to Riser of the Phoenix clan, Graphia clarified. A magic circle appeared with a symbol Naruto recognized as the Phoenix clan seal. As the tall young man rose from its seal Naruto's eyes narrowed dangerously. He did not like the fact his twin sister was forced to marry someone and from the fact she tried to get out of it meant she did not agree with it. Seeing the male devil before him Naruto could tell he was not only a class A dick but a spoiled brat from his pose and smirk. Naruto wanted nothing more than to shove a Rasengan right into his face, and maybe everywhere else while he was at it. Thanks for watching.